You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back to the program. Joining me now, John Brummett, columnist with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Always good to see you.
Good to be seen.
Particularly in person, so.
You know, not a lot of people say that it's good to see me in person, but I appreciate your saying that and pretending it's so.
Well, it is true, but what I hear more is it's not that they don't like seeing you in person, they just don't like seeing you coming. That's right. The deal.
That's right. Oh, no, not him. I've heard that all my life.
Yes. Elections this week nationally. We had some off-year election for Arkansas and most states, but there were some. Kentucky, Ohio, Virginia, Mississippi. We saw elections all around there. Some big wins for Democrats. Of course, the Republicans hold on in Mississippi. Abortions on the issue as well. I don't think it predicts next year's election results because there's way too much to go. But does it tell you something about like a barometer of where voter enthusiasm is right now? A wake-up call for Republicans, some encouragement for Democrats?
It doesn't for me. The main thing it does for me is substantive in that there's a dichotomy between people's attitudes about abortion and partisan national politics. I mean, Ohio is as red as Texas now, but it voted for an abortion choice, a constitutional amendment. I don't think anybody thinks that means that's a real problem for Trump or the Republican nominee carrying Ohio next time. Kentucky, similar returns in that the governor opposed an extreme abortion position, the Democratic governor, and won. But Kentucky, nobody's saying it's now a swing state.
Right. It was Republican all down tickets.
Right. Everything else was Republican. I just think that there is an attitude that an extreme abortion position that doesn't allow abortion at all in any instance is highly unpopular in most areas of the country, and that is good for people who believe in choice, but I don't think it portends or even relates to the likely Trump-Biden presidential race or congressional races in terms of who's going to take control or hold control of the Congress. And to me, that's the most interesting thing, that they're now two separate things. When you overturn the national right to abortion, you lessen it as a national issue. When you put it back on the states, we're finding that the states can see some nuance in that issue. Now, a lot of women and abortion choice advocates don't like me saying that, but the choice for many states may be an incremental solution. You know, even in Arkansas, exceptions for rape, incest, fatal fetal anomalies, that might be viable here, but you'd have to give up on full restoration of rights to support that. That's the way I sort of see, that's the main reading I took from those returns.
I think too, some of those issues being on the ballot were meant to drive voter turnout. Right. So the folks that were supporting and opposing those are using those as kind of enthusiasm boosters for their party candidates there. That's where I kind of see it being a barometer of enthusiasm for who's more motivated by that issue.
And I think Democrats right now
and moderate Republicans
are. As you know, though, by this time, well, not this time, but by mid to late October in a year, the dynamic will be more about two people, right. You know, and your general attitudes about the culture and the state of politics. But it was Democrats and people left of center needed a good day for their psyches. They got one. They got one.
It's kind of like the Razorbacks getting a victory, a real win,
Florida.
not a moral victory.
Right.
So,
they actually won one. Yeah.
All right. The GOP had a presidential debate. We'll talk about the counter programming in a second, but I think there were 5-6 candidates on the stage there. You suffered through it, from what I could tell from your Twitter feed there. Is Nikki Haley starting to separate, you think, a little bit?
Well, I think so. I've become kind of to the extent I don't like conservatives much generally, I've become kind of a Nikki Haley advocate. I think I think she's a little smarter than the rest of them. I think she's a better debater than the rest of them. I think she fashions a more thoughtful abortion position than the others. I think her Trump position is smart. He was the right president in 2016. I proudly worked for him, but he's no longer the right man for the job.
That's a good nuanced answer.
That's a very well.
Yeah.
That's very well put. If you look at Iowa and New Hampshire, she's now stuck with DeSantis. Not stuck with him, but she's reached him and exceeded him in one of those states in the average polls. It is true. If you could get one coalesced around Republican alternative to Trump, we'd have a whole new dynamic, which would be interesting. And I think she's pretty much going to distinguish herself from all of them, except, well, of course, Trump. But DeSantis is her problem. She's got to get him out of the way, and he's there polling about as well as she is. She's been going like this, he's been going like that. But that's if she could get out there by herself, taking on Trump, maybe getting back at him the way she gets back at Ramaswamy. Now, I mean, we'd have a...
You're Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels.
Yeah.
They're 5-inch heels, and they're weapons.
Right,
you know?
right. And that was a shot also at DeSantis, you know,
Yes.
but nobody got
Right.
that. Yeah, yeah. But she answered it well. Yeah. So yeah, she is. I've got a column. This airs Sunday, right?
Correct.
I have a column today saying two conservative women on stage Wednesday evening. They're real different, and I compare and contrast.
Well, let's talk about the other.
Sarah Sanders and Nikki Haley.
Let's talk about Governor Sanders.
Uh-huh.
She was the counter-programming to that GOP debate. She was at a rally in Florida with former President Donald Trump, endorsing him, which she'd put a statement out earlier in the week, but she's clearly on the stage with him there. First of all, why such a late endorsement? And, you know, what's your interpretation of, you know, why now? Why did she get in? She's had the opportunity to endorse him earlier. What do you think she was holding out for? What do you think has changed?
I would first say that on this, I think you still have people in her circle that will talk to you. So you might have a better idea than I would. But you asked my analysis. The first thing I thought was, well, she's a consummate political animal. It is now a fait accompli that Trump's got it, or she thinks so, and her numbers or her personal political considerations tell her it's time to do it. I think that's why. I may have had something to do with the fact with the Virginia governor, Youngkin.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of flirted with him and the idea, just make myself available in case people do actually draft him after he leads a Republican takeover of the legislature in their elections. He didn't. He lost ground in Virginia. She may have seen that coming. Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds went the other way. You tell me, but I'm telling you, I think the one thing I'm pretty sure of, I can say, she decided the time was right politically according to some numbers or some political analysis that she had been waiting for.
Yeah.
You see something else?
Well, no, I think that she owes him, to be honest.
Well, sure.
With you.
I mean, yeah.
So, but yeah, I think that the time has come. So I think everybody's kind of looking at the Trump bet, and it's made at this point. It's going to be well into next year before we find out what happens legally for him. And when that happens, that may change the whole dynamic. But for now, I think it's starting.
It was hard to imagine.
Starting to harden.
She is she has her own skills. I don't mean to, but she, as a national political figure of the prominence she holds, she owes that entirely to Trump's making her his right hand.
Yep.
So she was going to have to do it most likely. DeSantis is no longer viable. The best I think he can do is second. And the Virginia guy's out, so now, let's do it.
All right, we've got less than 60 seconds left. Democrats fielding more candidates in Arkansas than they had before. Still ruby red Republican state. It looks like we're going to have a congressional candidate in all 4 districts challenging the incumbent Republicans. I don't see things changing in terms of the final numbers in Arkansas, but is this a signal of some renewed Democratic optimism?
Yes, I don't think it's possible to stay down as low as the Democrats have been in recent cycles. You got one way to go, and time will just take care of bringing you back. But they're working hard. They've been out recruiting candidates for legislative seats.
The Republicans have. So.
Well, I'm not saying the Republicans aren't working hard. I'm just you asked me about the Democrats. I think it's just a natural cycle. They've been down so low they will come up, but they're working harder, and I think there's a little enthusiasm. There's some, Governor Sanders is obviously the leader of the party, and her approvals are down and her disapprovals are up. I think we can probably, based on several surveys and just the general feel of things, we can agree on that. So, and Mississippi just had a Democratic candidate get what, 47?
Yep.
So, you know, there's a reason not just to be mounting the loyal opposition, but to have a little bit of, not optimism, something between optimism and death. And I'm glad they're rising
It's
from
called life support, John. Life support. So
well, they're on a little better than life support. They're taking medication.
they've been moved out of critical ICU.
They have. So they've got solid candidates in a couple of these congressional races. They would be competitive in a different environment, I think. They're not well known, but I've watched them both be interviewed on this show or somewhere, and they seem solid in the second and the third. So
We'll see.
Good for politics.
Yeah.
And it's going to be an interesting year. I know I've gone too far. We got a lot going on for an off-year election in this primary and this general election. All right. Thanks.
John Brummett, columnist with the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Thank you.
You bet, buddy.
All right. Back with more right after this.